Don't stop.
Hi, thanks for joining me on the Everything and Anything and a Bit Gay podcast. I'm Zach Randles-Friedman, the host of the show. Thanks for joining me. If you're watching this on video, so I have this product that I use. It's a SkinCeuticals product, and it's called P-T-I-O-X. P-Tox is what I call it. T-Ox. And it's supposed to like give you glass face, which I don't even know why I would want glass face, but that's what everybody says that you want online. But every time I put it on, it makes me feel like my face is like shiny. It's like women use powder, I think, to get rid of the shine. So I don't know why you'd want to have glass face, but maybe I need to stop using that product. And then I have this other product that I use that is, who's it by? I can't remember who it's by. Oh, Dr. Brandt's skincare. And it's a vitamin C. It's a vitamin C serum, which vitamin C is really good for your skin. And I used it for like, I don't know, a year. And then I wore a white shirt over the summer. And then I guess I wiped my face on my shirt somehow or something. Or maybe I was washing my face and some of the water dripped off or something onto this white shirt. And it was like orange. I'm like, oh my God. Like, and then I realized that my face was looking tan, but it was, and then I kept thinking, do I look like Donald Trump? Do people think I'm like trying to be orange, like the Cheeto Man? So hopefully not. But yeah, that's bizarre. But I'm looking at my face. If you're watching this video, my face is very shiny and I don't love it. So I'm going to go through my drawer of products and find something that makes my skin not look shiny. Podcasts are a lot of work though. Just like, I think a lot of my friends that, my friends that know about this podcast, I think all my friends know about this podcast, but I think they think I just do this and it's just like a lot of fun all the time. And mostly I would say it's 80% fun, 75% fun, I'll say. But you have to be on camera, and that means you're going to put yourself out there. That means you kind of got to brush your hair sometimes where, if I'm not leaving the house, maybe I don't brush my hair. Or, you got to wear something kind of decent instead of a big triple extra large shirt that you would go to bed in. And that's what I'll wear around the house sometimes. So, yeah, you have to kind of wear stuff that makes you look a little like presentable. And then you got to make sure your face isn't shiny like mine is right now. And it's not because it's oily. It's because I'm supposed to have glass skin because of this SkinCeuticals stuff, which I love the brand SkinCeuticals. And so SkinCeuticals, if you're listening, I would love for you to be a sponsor and give me products, and I'll talk great about your products because that's what my bathroom is filled with. Or any other skincare company. Come on over and hit me up, and I will be happy to use your products and promote them if I like them. But let's talk about my guest today. My guest today, his name is Ray Crist, and he called me or Zoomed me, if you want to call it, or Riverside me, how I record my podcast from Greece. And I found Ray through his work and his website and immediately thought, this guy has lived some life. At the age of 40, he was diagnosed with terminal cancer and he had 90 days to live. And he went on this journey, and I don't want to tell you the whole entire podcast story, but I was fascinated by him. And he was a top-tier fashion photographer doing all this fashion photography for Vogue. And his life completely changed. And I'll just say there are people that I interview on this podcast, and I'm so into what they're saying that I forget I'm talking with them on a podcast. And I forget that this is an interview. And I don't usually write a lot of questions out. Like, I'll research the person, I'll write a few questions out, or a few not even questions, topics that I want to cover. And I did that a little bit for Ray, but I never even really looked at the paper other than to see like what the name of his website was so I could say it correctly. But he was so fascinating and his energy was so good. And he was charismatic and he cares about people and he helps people that are struggling with anxiety and overthinking things and living on autopilot. And he's in a really, really good spot in his life. And he went through so much to get there. And he's so fascinating. And I hope you find his interview as fascinating as I do. And I think whenever you watch or you listen to this podcast, you will understand where I'm coming from when I say I just kind of zoned out with him and I was having a conversation and forgot that this was going to be listened to by other people because he's just one of those people that is just interesting and you want to know more. And I could have spent another 5 hours just talking with him because he's lived such an amazing life. So enjoy the story with Ray. Make sure you go to his website because I've gone to it a couple of times and told several friends about it. It's jaguarpath.com. I'll mention that a couple of times throughout the interview and we reference that website. But Ray's phenomenal and I want you to get to know him the way I did. So thanks so much for listening. Enjoy the interview with Ray. Hi, thanks for joining me on the Everything and Anything and a Bit Gay podcast. Today I have a guest all the way from Greece, and we have so many amazing questions that I have for him, and I can't wait for you to learn more about Ray. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you for having me over. It's such a pleasure and an honor.
I've gone through and I found your website and looked at all the great things you do, but give my audience like an elevator pitch of 1 minute of who or 2 minutes of who you kind of are. And then I want to talk about your journey, how you got there. And I want to do a little deep dive into a couple of areas as well.
Wonderful. I'll be happy to. So my name is Ray. I was born in the United States, but was raised mostly in Greece. At the age of 40, and that was 22 years ago, I was diagnosed with terminal cancer and was given 90 days to live.
Wow.
In my depression, my fear, my terror, my sadness, all the feelings mixed together all at once.
Yeah.
And I went to the States, went to Johns Hopkins, went to the NIH. They all had the same thing to say. The NIH was wonderful. All the hospitals and all the doctors and nurses and everyone I met was so helpful and so supportive. A big thank you to all of them and the medical system. But with that diagnosis, after I did a surgery of giving up my right kidney and NIH, now it was 2005. It was 2.5 years later after the first diagnosis. I ventured through Mexico and found my way all the way down to Peru, where I went into the jungle and started seeking medicine men and medicine women to work with plants and to figure out solutions and anti-carcinogenic, basically, medicine. And I did. I found that, but I found that a lot more. And I just want to clarify this is who I am. I founded this school of shamanism that is called the Jaguar path. And the whole idea behind it is, of course, a big thank you to everyone that helped me. Everyone helped me survive and be. And it's a big thank you and paying it forward, rather, to those who may find themselves either in just difficulties, psychological difficulties in life, or in really tough squeeze like I was, or people that are ready to have evolutionary leaps in health and in intellect and in spirituality. So I am a very strong believer in both Western medicine and magic medicine and shamanism or any alternative, all alternative medicines, holistic medicines.
Yeah.
See, I've found that there's like two camps. One is the people that say, oh, everyone that does alternative medicine is woo-woo and kind of hippie and little new agey, and we don't do that. And then you have the other camp, which are that side of the alternative, and say, oh, everyone else is materialistic, really narrow-minded, and can't get out of the way, and can't get out of the system. So I'm like, wait a minute. I'm a modern man in the modern world. At the time I was interrupted by cancer, I was deep into, or high, I should say, in my photography career as a Vogue photographer, doing advertisement and fashion, with an amazing career. So I'm not a new agey kind of guy, nor was that wanting of learning about chakras and colors and petals or any of that stuff was of interest to me. But what was of interest to me, it was my will to survive. That's what brought me into the jungles and high up into the Andes. And I've discovered something that is more real than what we call real. So there you have it in a nutshell.
Yeah. So whenever you, I mean, number one, first I want to start where you said at 40, that was 21 years ago when you were 40. So you're 61 years old.
Yes, I am.
Good for you. Because I would have thought you were 40 now. Like, good for you.
Yes, I am. I was born 1964, but I feel 40.
Yeah, I mean, you look amazing. So, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. The other, so whenever you went into the jungles of Peru, you had kind of an idea of what you wanted to do, but did you expect it to change your entire projection of your life?
I was really just going in there as a last hope that I'm going to do this wild thing just in the off chance that I can really pull this off. Because again, I'm a Western man. I believe in technology. I believe, and I love technology, and I love the modern world. So there's both. Johns Hopkins is a very credible hospital, as is NIH. They're the top hospitals of the world, and I'm not saying they made a mistake. They didn't. What they saw, though, and what they knew to do, that gave them the stats that there's not even 0.01. Like when I asked them, what is there something I could do? They said to me, you should take care of your affairs. Wow. So leaving from that meeting, take care of my affairs, I say I hold that in my heart till today. I think it's a great thing to say and to do in life. I take care of my affairs daily, and I live differently. And I'll tell you what, Zach, I feel like looking back, I wouldn't be alive without that surgery. I had a huge tumor, which was really clearly to them was the original source. From there, it metastasized to my other liver, my lungs, my kidney, and things were a little shady. So I know I wouldn't be alive if I did that, if I had not done the surgery. But I also know that I would not be alive if I hadn't ventured into Peru and met with the shamans and really radically changed who I am. Like that photographer, the Vogue photographer, died. I never returned. Like I'm in Greece now, but I just returned 2 years ago. So for 19 years, I was living in other countries, mainly in America, a lot in Costa Rica, Peru, and here.
And we'll be right back. Okay, now back to the show. So when you met the shaman, tell me what happened, because I think it's so interesting that, there's this whole other world that most of the world doesn't really know much about, or like you said, they're like, oh, it's woo-woo and stuff. I mean, I've interviewed a lot of people on my show that are shamans and that, so I believe in all of it. I believe that there is the healing piece of that and the spirituality of it, and just, what we can get into. But what happened whenever you met the shaman? Did they know that, and you kind of told them about your issue, and then they helped you along the healing journey?
Well, there's just so much in what you just said, and I'd love to unpack it all. I'm going to say that I'll just answer the question first and say that, what happens to you when you, it's almost like receiving a death sentence. And you get a date, that you're going to be executed, or that's the end, that's coming. A lot of things change, and the brain starts spinning in ways one can't realize unless that is really happening to you. So one of the biggest things that happened to me was that all of my priorities were shifted. Everything, all my values, I saw my life back, and I realized that so many things that I was doing were not essential, were not important, were not what I was supposed to be doing. But we could get back to that in the state of mind later. I'll say, though, within all that fear and pain and coming to the end, I was on my knees in front of this amazing man by the name of Don Francisco Flores, who is the elder of the Quero Nations people, the chief, if you want.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on my knees crying, and I said to him, Don Francisco, I'm dying from cancer. I have a 1-year-old son back home in Greece. He will grow up without a father. Save me. And there's a lot of pain really loaded in that. He just reached over me with such sweetness. I still remember it today, and grabbed both my shoulders and helped me stand up while he was saying to me, listen, hermanito, my little brother, I can't save you, but I can train you to become a shaman, and you can save yourself.
Wow.
And as he was just barely touching me, it's almost like his words and just the lightest touch brought the strength to my feet, and I stood up, and I realized, having in that moment been already in that 2-year process of fear, of trying, of effort, and having the surgery just done behind me 6 months before that moment. But still, everyone was saying, don't get your hopes up, because everything else is still there. We just maybe bought you a couple months. But the essence is that his words, I can train you to be a shaman and you can heal yourself, was the first moment someone gave me my power. Someone said, you can do this. You can do this. I'm all for asking help, and everyone should, and it's always collective, no matter what we're doing, if we're healing or we want to evolve, etc. And that was what was happening. A lot of amazing doctors, nurses, people from the hospitals, it was just amazing, the humanity that I found. I'm so grateful. And so it's given me that, going through all the hospitals, gave me a whole other respect to humanity and how people in healthcare care. And put a lot of their life into it. So in all that, I realized that in my fear, which was natural, in my weakness, which I feel also was natural, I had lost my courage. I had lost my sense of personal power, and I was trying to find the experts. May that be, a surgeon in the NIH, the head doctor of urology of the Johns Hopkins, or now the chief of the elders of the Quero Nations people. And he just turned it around and gave it back to me. He said, you have the power. And I'm like, well, if you can train me to become a shaman, I will be your best student. I am his best student, or I try to. I am his student till today. Not only a week ago, he was here in Greece with me. I've raised my son, who is now an amazing guy, 23 years old, with a degree in sociology, and he lives in Holland and has an amazing career. I've watched him raise his kids. We are so close as brothers, as I have him as my father, as my brother, as my teacher and beloved friend. Yeah. And I've had the opportunity through these last close to 19 years in his presence and this friendship to receive all the help, receive education, and also, as things change, I've also been able to help him, because things in the Quero Nations people at the 18,000 feet in the Andes during COVID were really difficult. So I was able to get these guys online and kind of like do workshops and send them money and send food and get those rolling. But back to your question, the essence is that one of the things that is really important and that we don't know is we have this inner dialogue in our heads. Even when you're sitting at a red light and you're just sitting there, or you're washing with dishes, there's this idling of thought. We're thinking. We're constantly thinking. We don't stop. The brain doesn't stop. It's how it works. And this dialogue we consider to be A, ourself, and B, that what the dialogue is saying is true. And both of those are wrong. Both of those are wrong. What's happening in our brain is an instant replay from a cassette recorder. And I say it recorder on purpose because it's really old technology. It's not even, a little,
Yeah.
yeah, it's old technology. So it's a cassette recorder that just goes over the same things. And we believe in it. And that's why evolution, healing, and change are very hard. And that's why I found that, and it's really clear that people that have near-death experiences or that face death as I did in hospital situations or in illnesses that, as like cancer and terminal illnesses in general, they turn on the real voice. All of a sudden you hear a voice that every now and then you'd hear behind the other one, but it wasn't clear that they were separate, that there were two voices. It's almost like, oh yeah, me. So what happens is basically this inner voice, and I call that the inner shaman, or the inner wise person, or the inner guide.
Mm-hmm.
That awakens, and it overrides the other voice. And the other voice wants their past car, or the beautiful car, or the big house, or whatever, which are all beautiful things. And we all should enjoy, and it'd be great if we can. But they're not the essence. Those things are like, the icing, the cherry on the top of the cake.
Yeah.
The cake, though, is to be able to have that voice awaken within you. And through these years, what happened is I feel that I realized that I lived my life, or that we in the Western world, most of us, live a life in reference to what other people are doing, what we see on Instagram, YouTube, what input we have, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
So we live our life because we say, okay, well, if I want to be real, I want to be real in relationship to all this. So I have a reference point. But the thing is that all of this, and everyone in Facebook, Instagram, etc., everyone is a wonderful soul, but we're all creating this myth, this kind of belief reality that is not, right? Because when I'm smiling on Facebook or Instagram, it's an Instagram moment. It's not necessarily absolute. Yeah, I was in Greece in front of the ancient columns when I was smiling, but I'm not saying, well, I had a terrible toothache and I was crying later. I don't, I skipped those parts of reality. So so all that to say that I've switched. I have a big switch. I don't live in reference, but now I've come deep into this place of living in reverence. That precious, the understanding of how precious life is, and in the moment of losing it, I said every moment is divine. Every moment is like the moment that I'm entering into a church where I switch into this reverence. I switch into this inner quietness and awe and respect and fully present, because it's a special moment. And I lived my life up to my 40 with a lot of moments being special, but most of them were mundane and weren't either. I was commuting, or I was paying bills, or I thought those moments didn't count because I had plenty of them, until I realized I don't. So now I know we don't. Our life is very finite. Our life is very finite, and the years go by very fast. Even I was visiting my 93-year-old mother the other day, and she said, it's amazing how fast it goes. I remember it was like last week when you were kids and we were all going swimming to like some beautiful beach. And it was like, she said, it literally feels like it was a week ago. And it's just, there's your line, So the essence is that, and I think, Zach, that's like something I really want to point out and say that as I became a student of a shaman, and I still am, the biggest thing shift that I feel inside me is that my reality, and when I'm sitting at a red light, or when I'm washing the dishes, or I'm a clerk in the bank, whatever it is, I am inhaling deep into my body. I'm looking into the water that I'm feeling running through my hands if I am washing the dishes. I am listening to the clerk in the back and trying to figure out, well, how are they doing in their life? What are they? I'm engaging in life in a very different way. There's no moments that I'm like, oh, this doesn't matter. It does, because this was just another minute, and if there is no bigger gift than life.
So your awareness is much greater now that you've done this, which sounds amazing.
Yeah, and I love that word you use, awareness and consciousness of being in the present, in the now,
Yeah.
the power of now that Eckhart Tolle
Yeah.
talks about. What happens is there's something else that happens. There's a visceral um, there's a visceral sensation of even the space around you that changes. The sensation of space, your
Hmm.
proprioception of where you are in the space and what's happening around you, it shifts, and you begin to see things very, very differently. And the big part of it is also that it gets to be very quiet up there, where it used to be all these
Yeah.
conversations of the brain. And this is sometimes I say to people and my students is that you have two voices in your head, and people raise their head and say, "I have a committee up in my head. I have 20 voices,"
Yeah.
and it's true, And those are the voices of reference, but deep behind that is the voice of reverence, and that we all have because that's who we are. We are divine. The fact that we're alive, that we're sparking with electricity, that we could see each other right now, that I'm talking to you, Zach. It's just such a awesome honor. And it's great because two people from across the world are meeting and talking about,
Yeah.
hey, this is life. And we're sharing it with others. We're both involved in giving a gift to others and in reaching our hands up and saying, hey, you could do this yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I would love that's one of the things that I always want to I wish that I had, and it's, New Year's comes around and I have a resolution, everybody does their New Year's resolutions about I want to accomplish this in the coming year. And one of the things I always have is like I would love to learn how to be in the present moment, like how to be in now. Cuz like whenever I lay down at night and I try to sleep, I have that whole committee of voices in my head telling me this is what you needed to do, this is what you didn't do, this is what you need to do in 3 days from now, you need to plan this. And it's a constant, it takes me forever to go to sleep and lots of drugs to go to sleep too, lots of pills. And I also even whenever I've noticed that even whenever I'm watching TV with someone, I'm on my phone the whole time and I'm never kind of in that present moment. And I'm really, really want to get there. So, I mean, having conversations like this with you just makes me think about like, I need to work on that. And I know a lot of people want to be where you're at, where you're kind of in the moment and you're experiencing things and you're looking around. Like, I love it when you said you're washing dishes and you're feeling the water and you're thinking about, like you really are there. And I understand that. And I think that that's amazing. And I would love to get there, and as would a lot of people, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and I want to say I am happy that I am here, and it takes some work for
Hmm.
me. I was motivated. There was no next year result, for
Yeah,
me. There
yeah,
was next year, so there's just like you come to that point, and it's just like it's either this way or not. And also, there's a breakdown, and I don't know that is something we can avoid. But in order to really like stop the committee from creating all that, what is it? All that ruckus upstairs.
yeah. Hmm.
Um, there's a breakdown that is what you have a psychological breakdown. I mean, I went through several breakdowns when I was on my knee in front of Panduro, in front of Don Francisco. I was experiencing a psychological breakdown. My knees buckled. I was just like
Yeah.
falling apart, right? And the pain was incredible, especially just having had my son who was 1 year old. So just that thing that life is going to really continue, and a branch of me in my DNA, but I would not be there, and that was a lot
Mm.
to hold.
Yeah.
And today, that and many of those times in those 2-3 years until I felt that I turned the corner and that I was going to live. It was 4 or 5 years actually, but those breakdowns, a series of breakdowns, what happened is that they broke the like, if you want, the speaker or the microphone for those voices up there. They
Yeah.
couldn't believe it. I could, because I realized like, oh, I was spending time in anger for my ex. I was resenting someone at work. I was hosting not only unlimited time in my brain and thinking, negative thoughts about others or
Yeah.
events that had taken place in the past. But it was also just through that, just in even idling, I was upping all these emotions that were in my body that were essentially acidic emotions. And
Yeah.
if cancer really loves something, it's an acidic environment. So when I was like angry, when I was resentful, when I was, things that we could say are natural, and they are, all emotions are natural, and we are entitled to our emotions, and
Mhm.
all our emotions are valid. But here comes the second teacher of mine, and I think this is really, really important because he played a really big, big role. After having received and starting my classes, my lessons, my apprenticeship with Francisco up in the Andes, I ventured down into the jungle of Peru where I was told that there was an ayahuasquero, a plant medicine
Mhm.
doctor. I don't know if we're supposed to use that word or not, but plant medicine
Yeah.
doctor
Yeah.
for that part of the jungle
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
Um, and when I went down there, I was like, I had gotten my hopes up, but I was still not yet in the clear. I just started my apprenticeship, so I wasn't yet a shaman to heal myself. So I had a long way to go, I felt. And it was a bet with time. Will I learn to heal, or will I won't
Yeah.
have time to learn? So I'm there again. This is like a few weeks later, down in the jungle, and I've gone with a bus. I've taken a boat. I've hiked in the jungle. I'm in this place. God knows we're somewhere between the borders of Peru and Bolivia. And I'm like thinking to myself, I'm a gringo over here. It's just like, if anything happens, they're just going to, kick me over in a ditch. No one will ever know
Yeah.
where I
Yeah.
went. How, what,
Yeah.
nothing, no one. And so I'm in front of this man. I finally am a day and a half there, and he's not seeing me. He's seeing other people. He's busy or whatever. And I'm finally there, and that waiting got me really agitated. And
Yeah.
in a sense of, again, the fears were up, and here I am again, and I'm crying. I can't control it. And I'm like on my knees. And he looked down, and he did something different than Francisco did. He put his hand out, like in my face. He just said, "Stop." And I was taken aback. He said to me, "I don't care about my own emotions, Ray. What do you think is going to make me care about your emotions?" And at that moment, I said, "Oh my God," that's where I said, they're going to just throw me in a ditch here. No one will know I'm in the wrong place.
Yeah.
But I'm standing up, I'm wiping my tears, I'm inhaling to say, "You are no healer. You have zero compassion." I don't know what I was ready to say. I'm inhaling, and I'm like, and I'm kind of leaning forward towards him. And he put both hands on my shoulders and he said, "Well, right, Ray, now you're talking. Now you're ready to do the work. Let's do this. Let's beat this cancer together. Not on your knees, not in your emotions."
So this is the doctor for the ayahuasca.
Exactly, yes. Maestro Panduro, I'm sure that many out there hearing the name know the name. He has passed over a decade ago, and that I never imagined. Because he was the magician, the shaman,
Yeah.
the what do you call it, the semi demigod of like who will never die.
Yeah.
And here I am, I'm alive, and he passed. But that is the ayahuasquero, and that was a moment that really was the beginning of me understanding what those voices are. And even more
Okay.
importantly, what they're not. They're not the truth. Of course it was hard. Of course it was scary. Of course it was difficult. Of course they were valid. My emotions were absolutely valid. And everyone's emotions are valid. And there's always a place to have the emotion and a time to have an emotion. But you can't let it take over.
Yeah.
We all say, if I say it, it's like common sense. You don't want to make emotional decisions, right? You don't, because your emotions don't weigh out things, don't see clearly. There's like you're entangled, you're pushed, you're pulled, you're not natural, you're not fully yourself.
Yeah.
And so that's what I've learned there. It's like taking it to the next level of like, hey, I can learn to become a shaman. And if I stand up and, I need to pay more closer attention to my emotions and be the one in the wheel. It's like I feel something. So what am I going to do about it? Am I going to start stomping my feet because I'm angry at someone, or I don't get what I want? Or am I going to start wailing, crying because someone took my toy away? that doesn't get you anywhere. And overall, I think that's our emotional. I think in the Western world we have we're emotionally immature.
Mm-hmm.
We're emotionally immature, and in the West, we got way too much. And I've lived my life, and I've lived for 3 years. I lived for several months on end throughout the last 20 years in Peru. I would go out months at a time. I lived for 3 years in Costa Rica. I've lived 3 years now here in Greece. I've lived in countries that have a lot of poverty, and the richness that I have found is amazing. And the poorer the country, the more mature emotionally people were.
Yeah.
I don't know, food for thought. We just have too much.
And we'll be right back. Okay, and now back to the show. And what do you think, I don't want to get political at all, but what do you think about looking at the United States now and where we're at now? And you hear about all this craziness that's happening here. You hear about, the shootings and the political environment that we're in and all this. Like, what is your thoughts whenever you've definitely are at a different level than all of that now, I feel. And so when you look at that, does it make you kind of just feel like sorry for what's happening or sad or like what is your thoughts on that?
I definitely live a different life, and I don't have political opinions. I have anthropological opinions.
Yeah.
And what I see is that now, or 4 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, is the same as it was since the Roman Empire. There's this, reality is like if 10 of us get together and we decide, you and I come, and some of your friends, some of my friends, and friends of friends, and we have, say, 20 people together, and we go into this amazing, beautiful island, and we decide to set up a society.
Okay.
What we'll set up is the same thing because that's all we know.
Yeah.
We're going to be like, well, let's make a democracy, and then we'll vote, and then we're thinking that we're doing something great. This democracy was not established. I'm Greek. I'm half Greek, and I've studied, and I'm studying even more now, living here, ancient Greek philosophy and way of thinking, medicine, everything. Democracy that was set up in Greece, what they call democracy, is not what we've ever seen anywhere. Democracy is something that never took. We say it's a democratic country. There's democratic countries, including the United States, but they're not. It's kind of like, we kind of vote and we kind of decide, but democracy has a lot more parts to it that are not existing. But to the essence and to the anthropological part of it is that what we've created is what's happened is that since the Roman Empire, there are people like you and I, and during the Roman Empire, that you would ask the same question back then. You say, Ray, what do you think about Nero? It's like, oh, he's running the government, and the shootings, there's like the slaying, people coming out with like cutting heads, and it's just like, it's the same thing. So in essence, for the shaman, it is a form of insanity that is global, and that is what is prevailed as common sense.
Yeah.
Carl Jung named the shamanic work uncommon sense. He said that shamans view the world through a psychologist, a therapist filter, and the whole society, not as a whole society, as what is expressed as a group of individuals. When we look at the wars, even the shootings that you referred to, have you ever woken up and really taken a beating from yourself? I'm not good enough. I'm not this. I haven't done that. I've said years now that I'll be doing this every new year. I'm doing this, but I never get to it. And we have these wars that are inside us. And if you get 100 of us or 8 billion of us that have war inside us, we're going to have war outside us.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I never thought of it that way.
Absolutely. There is no politics. The politics are the same. And the parties and all that they say, and that we kind of have democracy to choose, all that's not real.
Yeah.
And I don't think that there's like someone behind there setting it up. I mean, there might be 10,000 people that are behind it setting it up, but
Yeah.
They're the same 10,000 since the Roman Empire. It's just a matter
Yeah.
of awakening and saying, well, do I want to be a part of this? And how do I want to be a part of it?
Yeah. So whenever you went to, just to kind of go back to your story, whenever you were doing, you met the doctor for the ayahuasca, you were there for kind of 3 years or so. And at what point did you realize that you were starting to heal yourself? Because you had a short amount of time to live, but
But
obviously you lived past that time. And so did you ever stop and think like, "Oh, I was supposed to be gone at this time, but I'm still
yeah.
here and I'm feeling okay,"
Mhm,
and you're learning. And
mhm.
so talk to me about that whenever you realized you have more time and you were healing yourself.
Absolutely. Well, just to have the record clear, is I've stayed when I was in Peru. I'd stay a month or two or three at a time. I never stayed 3 years at once. But
Okay.
in the 20 years, I'd spend 1 or 2 or 3 months per year. I've spent a lot of years, a lot of months together. Uh,
Yeah.
but for 3 years, I lived in Costa Rica recently when COVID hit. It found
Okay.
us in Costa Rica, and we just stayed there for 3 years and came here 3 years ago. But to the essence of your question is like there was a lot of moments that it would either come out of a healing session with ayahuasca, out of a ceremony of opening sacred space and communicating with my power animal. There was a lot of moments that I would wake up and I would feel like, oh my God, that lesson last night and what happened in my
Mhm.
experience, I feel like a different person. I feel that I've beaten this. So, what the beautiful thing one of the many beautiful things about this difficult story that I had to go through, my own hero's journey, is that after the huge blessing of being part of the NIH, when you go to the NIH, you become part of a study. You're not just going in and having a surgery and you walk out. You are part of this decades and decades of thousands of people of study. So you go into statistics. So what happens is after your surgery, in the beginning, for every 3 months, you go post-op MRIs and CAT scans. And after, I wanted to say after the second year, it's every 6 months. And then after the fifth year, it's every 1 year. So even after the second and third trimesters or that I would go back and come back and go to Peru and come back again, the doctors were seeing results. They were seeing that things were disappearing. There was no
Wow.
tumor where there used to be, and the doctor said exactly that. It's whatever you're doing, keep on doing. Whatever you're doing, keep on doing. And I remember my surgeon like pointing out to the other doctors is like, "Ooh, look at this. It's like, look at this. They just it didn't make sense to them.
Yeah.
They were very happy. They were very happy. And to me, also, my decision at the moment, or the moments that in all those meetings, I just let out what it was that I kept on doing. I didn't need to change what my surgeon was doing because he saved me. He saved my life. I'm in no delusion that if I had
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
it's just like, it's just too big to get rid of any other way than to actually get in there and take out. So there were a lot of moments that I had ahas. There were a lot of moments that I felt that I was in a different chapter. And there were these visits at the hospital of the NH that were really, I could see the results. I'm like, okay, okay, okay. So I want to say after about 2 years within my apprenticeship and being back and forth to Peru,
Yeah.
and I also got a job and I worked as a yoga instructor at Kripalu Center for Yoga and Health. You might know it. It's in Western Massachusetts, just 2 hours from Boston.
Yeah.
And so I was living there. I was basically teaching yoga 15 classes a week. I was eating healthy. I was sleeping. I was walking in the woods. I was doing everything. Then I would go down into the jungle and to the Andes. Then I would go to the NH. So everything, my every moment was about healing. Every moment was about how can I improve my health, or what can I improve today? How can I
Yeah.
optimize my body? How can I beautify or soften my thoughts and my emotions? So there was a lot of moments of ahas. And about the third year of my apprenticeship, Don Francisco said, okay, I would go there and I would say, so what do we do now? And my third year going down, I said, what do we do? And he said, for this, your next step now is, if you want to stay cancer free, is that you need to teach all this that I've been teaching you. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm a white man. I was like a Vogue
Yeah.
photographer. I'm not from the Andes, or I'm not
Yeah.
jungle. I am not indigenous. How am I going to teach this? And he said, we'll teach it in English.
Yeah.
One thing I know shamans have is a lot of humor, which holds a lot of forgiveness, and it also holds a lot of space for healing. So
Yeah.
he's teach it in English, he said, because you can't keep this to yourself. You won't heal totally if you keep it to yourself. Because part of this becoming a shaman is you begin to understand that we are all ourself. We're all really one, where this oneness Christ talks about,
Yeah.
it's a reality. It's a bigger reality. It's fun to feel that we're separate, because then I can dress differently than you did today, and my glasses can be different than yours today. And there's some fun of it, or into it, and there's also some fun that it's like, oh, I can see another aspect of myself in you, right? Like,
Yeah.
and separate enough, but in essence, we're all one. We're all here with the sweet mammal that we are. We've forgotten that, and we should get to that. I want to talk about that, but to finish this, so I started teaching, and with Francisco's insistence and support, I created the Jaguar Path School of Modern Shamanism and the Science of Healing. Because I was there, and because of everything I was doing, I was backing up scientifically and looking at the NIH, and with the NIH, what was happening to my body and where it was at. I created a school that demystifies shamanism. Everyone is about, either half the people, again, those two camps, half the people say, oh my God, the shamans are magicians and they're like the superpowers. They don't have superpowers. They're human beings. And then the other camp is like, oh, they're woo-woo and they lie to people and they're trying to take money. They don't. They're sincere, awesome people, greater than most people we've met in the West, my opinion.
Yeah.
Sincere, honest, and really simple. There's like, they won't hide something because that's too complicated in their brain.
Yeah.
So in essence, we created the Jaguar Path, and Jaguar Path has a lot of science behind it, understanding when I use a rattle, what is exactly happening and where. Why is the rattle built like that? When I use a crystal, what properties does a crystal scientifically have? How does the body respond to it? To really understand it, I needed to understand, and I needed to know that I was doing something. Again, I wasn't down there to enforce my new aginess. I wasn't even a new age guy at all.
Yeah.
I still am not.
Yeah.
So hence the Jaguar Path comes in, and it's a 9-month training. And the idea that we've made it into 9 months was like, it's regenerating the body. Because what happens in a period of 9 months, it's not only the gestation period where we're in our mom's belly and we're born. 9 months is a significant cycle for the cells, the neurons, the mirror of the body that basically reboot the whole body. Every 9 months, we're rebooting the whole body. All the cells have changed. A lot of the cells have changed. There's significant shifts and changes. So the 9 months of the training, we meet 1 weekend a month. In those 9 months, the change is visceral. The change is not only that you've learned these things and mechanisms, but doing these shamanic tools, we learn 2 healing tools per session. What happens is we go back and find our childhood, we go back to moments that we feel that we were hurt, that we have we created some contracts and that we're held by, or that we have some trauma. And there's all these tools that I call accelerated healing. They're at heart psychotherapeutic in nature, but they're practical and real. And what happens is when you go through these tools, you have a trauma that you've been carrying with, it's you know what? It's just like having anything like a little thorn, you know, if you work in the garden and you get a little in your finger, right? And what usually happens with these is like I have several thorns in my feet and my back, and that's how trauma is. That's what trauma means. I'm a little traumatized, but on my skin, my being. And we go around life and we say, well, I'll get to it later. And I'll get to it later. And then your body gets accustomed to the pain. And when you put on your clothes and take them off, you have that little discomfort, but you get accustomed to it. So you say, well, this is who I am. And in the meantime, you get 10 little thorns, and you're not you. You think you're you. You're not, because, think about it. Think that you just have 10 thorns, 2 on your feet, 1 in your face. This is like, you can't be you. You can't be, what do you call it? Either authentically or spontaneously you, because you're dealing with something. A big part of you, like you got 50, 60% of your nervous system trying to deal with that. So I hear people say, I don't feel I've reached my full potential. It's like, no, you haven't, because only 40% at best. People really, I think, or I did, obviously making I statement, I think only 10% of me was left after my thorns, my traumas, my focus on my career. These are not all bad things. My traumas were bad things, but they were just the things. So 90% of me was in the back room, upstairs with a committee, just busy, and 10% of me was saying, "Hey, Zach, how are you?" I couldn't meet you. You could, because I was in the back room doing all these things.
Yeah.
And you cannot reach your full potential. And when people say it, it's like, I say, well, how do you know? How do you know? And it's just like, well, I know, because who knows? That inner voice, the reverence voice, knows very well. And every now and then surfaces, and it's like, this is not you, my dear self. You got a lot more love inside you. You got a lot more courage inside you. You got a lot to give to the world. You are tall enough. You are beautiful enough. You are awesome enough. You are everything enough. Enough to turn around and say to a friend, can I help you?
Yeah.
Can I help you? And there is a moment, or 9 months, that is to dive in and to turn in and say, okay, goodbye, my friends. See you. I had to say, I got a backpack and I left Greece, and I left behind me a life.
Yeah.
I was killing it. I was one of the most known photographers in Greece. I had this awesome studio, Vogue, the models, the cars, the planes, you name it. But none of that was from my reverence. None of that was for my true self. None of that really filled my heart. And I loved all of it, and I have nothing against it. And that's where the Jaguar path comes in. It's just the understanding is like, okay, so I was born in the States and then was raised in Greece. I'm clearly a white man living in the modern world, in the West. And that's what was given to me, the gift. So for me to go down in Peru and say, well, I'm going to live in Peru in a cave, or I'm going to go to India and be...
Yeah.
That's not authentic. It's not true. It's just not who I was supposed to be. And no judgment towards anyone deciding anything. But what I've come to realize is that we, in the West, all these teachings and the know-how had disappeared purposefully. Since the Roman Empire, the peak was the Dark Ages, where you have, for 300 or 400 years, anything that was magic was persecuted. You would be put to the fire. You collected flowers and put it in your hair. Yeah. You are a witch. You collected chamomile to heal your stomach. You got some peppermint to clear out your lungs from mucus. You're a witch. Everything from the most basic botanological knowledge, which came with the healing that shamans use, because shamans use medicine, and even the Western world takes the essence of medicine comes from the earth, comes from plants. Then we chemically screw them up, whatever we do to them. And some of them are amazing. A lot of the medicine are amazing. Western medicine really saves lives. But where I want to get to and say this is like, so here I am diving into shamanism and deep into yoga, studying with the greatest yogis of the planet, becoming a yoga teacher. And I'm reading the Yoga Sutras, let's say the Bible of yoga. Yeah. And Anjali says, there's a sentence there that says, both the material and the spiritual are for the soul. And I'm like, I'm saying it now and I'm feeling it. It's just like, oh my God, I don't have to be on that camp or that camp.
Yeah.
I'm here for all of it. I want my iPhone. I love my Mac, and that the fact that we're talking over Zoom now. I don't want to go be in a tree in the jungle of Peru. It's like, I want to visit. It's
So
not where
basically, you can live in a modern world and kind of integrate all these ancient teachings and what you've learned into your life,
yeah,
which is that's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
And I don't. I think people think it's one way or the other.
Exactly. That's the big thing. And because that's the big lie that's been sold.
Yeah.
There's good and evil. Good and evil. You're either going to be in paradise or hell. So
Yeah.
we're growing up with this logistic system that I have to decide.
Yeah.
And plus, we're also given the idea that most likely we're already going to hell. We're already bad.
Yeah.
Now, for the shaman, there is no such thing as evil. It's like, what do you call it? The boogeyman, the scary man? What do you call it? The
boogeyman.
Boogeyman, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, there is no such thing as evil.
Yeah.
For the shaman, there's two things. There's good and stupidity. If you investigate any evil act, from Hitler to genocides to whatever, what is clearly there is stupidity and mental illness. Stupidity and mental illness. Stupidity in the sense that there's no presence, there's no logic to what is happening. So let's forget that evil thing behind there, because that boogeyman is what scares us and what makes us stay in our cage of, this is what I should be. It's like, heaven forbid, if I'm not a fashion photographer, what am I going to be? I will disappear. Mm-hmm. You know what? No, I've appeared a lot more, actually. A lot more of me is appearing.
Yeah.
For you, for my son, for my mother, for my students, for my teachers, a lot more of me, because that I healed with cancer, contracts, old ways of thinking, these boxes that we've been put in, all those are gone. They're out. So what's left is me here, because I don't have something else to tend to.
Yeah.
I don't. This is what we're doing right now. You and I, Zach, are talking from the other side of the world, and we're sharing with all the amazing people that are listening now, and we're all just doing this right now.
Yeah.
There is no place in the world where I'd rather be than with you, Zach, talking right now. There's nothing close to me, right? And I know it will be till 5 p.m. my time, whatever time yours is. And then I'll be fully there in my next thing. What am I doing? Yeah. What am I doing next?
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Okay, now back to the show. I just have two more quick questions for you. One, I wanted to understand how you got into Chinese medicine, because I'm fascinated by it. I see it, I don't know a lot about it. I've read about it and stuff, and it seems like it's something that I wish was more in the Western world. I wish it was more of a part of our everyday lives here because of what I read. And then the other thing I just wanted to see if you could just cover is just, how did you get into Tai Chi? Because I have a friend that does it, and it's like changed his life.
Of course, for sure.
And I know those aren't like simple questions. Those are maybe a little longer than a couple of minutes. But
there's always a short and a long answer to all questions in life. First of all, I'm going to say that I feel that it was almost like I was already 20 years into photography, from assistant to being a photographer. I already owned my own studio for over 12 years at that point, and I was, like I said, really killing it. Had an awesome career. But it wasn't enough, and there was always something inside me from the books that I had read as a teenager about Tai Chi, about martial arts, about Taoist, the philosophy from China, that always really kind of like spoke to my heart. So while I was in my career, I started, I went to school and I started Chinese medicine, like in my late 30s, early 40s. So
okay.
I was fascinated. And with that came Tai Chi. One of the big things that I've discovered was that when I started talking to the shamans, because in the meantime, I was also deep into yoga, and a lot of people, I should just say this because It's just not out there in the public. Yoga is just more than getting your Lululemon pants and doing these postures.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of guys say, "Oh, well, yoga is just for girls." It's like yoga is a system that is really deep in the study of physiology, psychology, neurology, and the foundation of straight and clear thinking.
Yeah.
Right? It helps with everything we've just said. So one of the things that I discovered really quickly when the shamans were talking, they were talking to me about this is it's called the Inca trilogy, because the Q'ero people that I've studied with are the descendants of the Inca. They're the last Inca. So they talk about the serpent, the jaguar, and the condor, and they talk about the serpent teaching you how to change your skin and let go of the past.
Mm-hmm.
The jaguar teaches you how to be courageous, because the jaguar is the top of the food chain. It has no fear. It's like no one's going to go after the jaguar. You just don't even run. Pray if you see one.
Yeah.
Right? No fear. And teaches how to think. And then the condor teaches us to remember that we're one with the divine, because the condor flies wing to wing with the great spirit. And when I heard that, especially when they came to that third leg of the flying with the spirit, I was like, wait a minute, you guys are talking, the shamans are talking about the same thing, the yoga, the body, mind, spirit, the understanding that I'm just not one thing. I'm not just my brain, I'm not a brain in a vase thinking. No, I'm a body. I'm also a body that has its neurology, it has its hunger, its wants, its needs, what it likes, what it dislikes. It's a body. It's a physical thing that demands attention and needs things and gives your perception of what life is. That's a great day today because I don't have a stomach ache. It's an awful day today because my tooth hurts. It defines life. And the third is well, who are you, Zach? Who am I? I'm I'm a soul that's come here for this experience called life, a huge gift. So I'm a soul that lives within a body and a mind, and there's this trifecta. It's this trilogy and what I found, and I'm circling back to Chinese medicine, is that yoga is shamanic, Chinese medicine is shamanic, in the sense that what the thing is, again, having said that the shamans do not have extra human powers. They do not.
Mm-hmm.
They have a deep knowledge of physiology and psychology. They have a deep knowledge of nature, of rhythms, of food, of plants, of what's good for you and what's not good for you. Okay. We've left all that so far behind us. We feel left that behind us a century. Yeah. We're eating sugars, we're eating processed foods, so we think it's just well, I'll eat that. I'll eat all that crap. I'll go to McDonald's. I'll eat processed foods. I'll eat all these oils. I can't even start talking about the environmental issues that we create through what we're doing. But I'll say then I'll eat all of that, and then I think that I can think straight. Well, how do you think, first of all? Chinese medicine tells us that our emotions don't come from the values we've created in our life. I'm not insulted because I have some values that now have been insulted and now I have to tell someone. Yeah. Our emotions come from our internal organs. If my liver is out of balance, I am just so much more likely to get upset with anything that you say or someone that I meet says. I'm ready. I'm revving up my engine and someone says, Ray, your yoga class stinks. And then I'm like, whoa, how dare you? I'm like this. Yeah. Or I'm afraid. If my kidneys, I had a lot of fear back then because I was dealing basically with kidneys. Fear lives in the kidneys. If I've eaten food that deplete my kidney energy and my kidneys are now struggling, I will live in fear. Someone will say, Ray, I don't like your yoga class. And I'll be like, oh my God, now they're going to tell everyone and I'll lose all my students and I won't have an income. I'm creating stories. So our internal organs create the emotions. Here's some Chinese medicine 101 for you. Yeah. Our internal organs and endocrine system create the chemicals or hormones of the emotions that then give ground to how and what we're thinking. We're not thinking straight. We're never thinking straight, especially if we're eating crap, especially if we're not sleeping well, especially if we're not breathing correctly, especially if we're not relating to other humans correctly. I'll wrap it up all and say that the Jaguar path is a school of shamanism and offers yoga and Tai Chi, because all these, amongst other, are practices that really are like what we give in the 9 months are essential things that can change not only just your muscles and get you a little leaner, but
Yeah.
in terms of how things are running through your body. So you can come to that clarity, so you can be above everything else. Above, not in better. There's no human being that's better than any human being. There's not even any angel or God or saint that's better than any human being. We're all in the same realm in the eyes of God, and we're all equally
Yeah.
beautiful and wonderful. But at least what happens is, like, I can, like you've noticed and said earlier, I've pulled myself out of that game of worrying what's happening in the political
Hmm.
world happening. And, one can say, well, then you're not responsible. Why aren't you paying attention to politics? Because I'll tell you why. I am responsible, and that's why I'm not paying attention to politics.
Yeah.
Because if you think choosing between two parties is democracy, I would say that is a joke. Read some Greek,
Yeah.
what democracy really means.
Yeah.
And besides that, if you want to come and offer something to community, because I offer to hundreds, maybe thousands of people. So I'm part of this community. So what I'm bringing into the community is not one of the same things. I'm not coming and saying, well, you know what, we should have voted this, or we can vote that, or it has nothing to do, reality has nothing to do with what voted, because it's all been prepackaged anyway.
Yeah.
It's not all this stuff. It's like, let's name it for what it is. None of the parties and none of those things are running any country. These things are running way behind and behind and behind. And you can follow the chain all the way up to follow the money. So it's a reality check that we need. I'll just close on Chinese medicine and say this as a something that came into my heart. I think that Chinese medicine would absolutely suit you, and that if you want to see more in the world, I'd love to see you bring it in. Like, it's something that's now more accessible than ever. There's beautiful Chinese medicine schools in Boston. It is more than ever, and of course, it's become a part of. I'll say the word. The insurance companies are covering that too.
Yeah.
Although these guys have to be wiped out. These are the guys running the shows, and again, these are not political statements. I don't want these to be taken as political.
Yeah.
Because they're just not. It's an anthropological statement. And I'd say, yes, Chinese medicine awakens the student who studies it into the actual reality, And when you want to offer to society, the best thing to do is to offer to yourself. Because if I can wake up and you can wake up and all the people that are listening to us can wake up and they can talk to other people and we can wake up, then reality will change.
Yeah.
And there's no person I've met in my life that doesn't want affection, that doesn't want acceptance, and that doesn't really like admiration.
Yeah.
And those are the three, I would say, pillars of the environment we create in the Jaguar path. And who comes on this online training, the 1 week in a month for 9 months, are doctors, therapists, nurses, yoga teachers, body workers, massage therapists, Reiki people, or just people that are just saying, I'm like lost and I need to find some direction.
Yeah.
Everyone. 50% of these people actually become healers. The other 50, though, and all of them, 100% of them, apply it to themselves.
Yeah.
And that's the gift, because I can sit here, and talk about politics and whine and say this and that and yell this, but I'm just in the same game. I'm not doing it. I'm not making a change. The person that demonstrates against something is already taken an account for.
Yeah.
We want you to go out there with a picket and say, I don't want this. It's great. Because everyone thinks that something's happening. Everyone thinks that this is all the same from the Roman Empire. This is not a metaphor. This is an actual system that's been set up, not by one person or two, not by one company or two. It's just is what it is.
Yeah.
Because if you were born in the English, what do you call it? In the palace, and you were of that family, you are part of the power. If you were born, under a political family that's been for a century or more in
Yeah.
politics or more. People are born into this and it's their norm. So when they go to work and they have this big, huge ass company that makes $100 billion a year and they profit themselves, each
Hmm.
company profits, each individual in the company profits like several, it's become ridiculous, billion, like 1 or 2 billion a year. It's like, what are you going to do with 1 billion a year? I say I
Yeah.
gave Zach 1 billion a year. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
It's just like the unreality now that's taken these people that know, some of them know that they're the ones in power, that these 10,000 people are doing
Yeah.
this to a billion, but most of them don't even know it. They just belong to that tennis club.
Yeah.
And they're there and they're having dinner with those people and they're doing business with those people. It's like, it's normal. It's just what is. There's nothing
Yeah.
political even in them, nor evil. No one's evil. No one's evil. But some people are more lost. And I think, one of the things, I was talking to a billionaire who we were doing some work with, and he said, I have this jet. I bought this jet. And it's just, it goes 900 kilometers per hour or miles. I don't know what.
Yeah.
0.9, what did they call it? Mach.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, wow, that must be fantastic. I love flying single engine airplanes. It's like a kind of like a hobby I have.
Yeah.
These putt single engine airplanes,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
fly, go 100 miles an hour, maybe.
Yeah.
Going downhill. But so I was enthused to hear it. I said, so how is it when you fly it? And she looked at me like I had two heads. He said, I don't fly my airplane. I have a pilot. And I'm like, what? Well, why the hell how do you enjoy the airplane you have?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I'd have a jet and I would not be flying it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So there's that disconnect that happens. Like, we all dream, and I don't care to have a jet. I really don't care to have
Yeah.
a jet. I'll close by saying this, and I'm open for more questions, but I'll say this, that it's really important for us to understand that a whole life means that parts of us that feel the need of something, like I just got a new iPhone and it feels really good because it gets better photographs. I work better. I enjoy it. It's fun to have it. So if there's part of us that want material stuff, it's nice to find ways to fulfill that. And then when I want emotional things and spiritual things, it's really important to have them.
Yeah.
Because if I only have material things, my iPhone is soon going to be like, I'll need the next one. That jet, it's just like, oh my God, a year's passed. Now there's one that does 1 Mach. Now it's, I look at that. We also sail a lot. So we're in the Greek islands and we see on these yachts, enters a yacht that costs like, $500,000. And the guy is really the shit in the port until this other guy comes and his ship is a little bigger.
Yeah.
A little taller. And then he becomes a small guy. And I look at that and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry for you.
Yeah.
You don't have the biggest boat in the.
Yeah.
We're in this little dingy like sailing boat. Not that anywhere close to that.
Yeah.
We're in the sea. We're diving. We're swimming. We're playing with the water. We're communing with the dolphins. These guys are not. They're in that boat. They don't get to swim in the little coves that we get to go. And they don't talk with the dolphins. They're still writing emails. They're still in this other world. So the essence of life for the shaman, for me, is that a great realization is that we're born into paradise and everyone is good. And this is a beautiful world. And every animal, given a chance, will go past the species barrier and show love.
Yeah.
I've had meetings with bears in the wild. I've even seen a jaguar in Costa Rica with Nina, with my wife. We're sitting there and so all of a sudden this jaguar is like 20 feet in front of us. And it looked at us and it was a little bit apprehensive, but not a threat.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that animals can't be a threat.
Yeah.
But I am saying that humans are 1,000 times worse, 1,000 times more a threat. There's no one animal that's created a genocide of another species.
Yeah.
Or will that ever happen?
Yeah.
So if shamanism is something, it's naturalism. It's not returning back to be hippie. I'm not. I'm not. I still like my
Yeah.
BMW car and my BMW motorcycle because I love technology and I love how humans evolve technology and I
Mhm.
think greatness in it. Not to show off, but because I enjoy the quality of driving, the safety, what
Yeah.
have you. So, but still, we need to return to nature because that's what we're looking at. Anxiety, cancers, people shooting people, this
Yeah.
crazy, this insanity is because we veered away from nature, meaning we veered away from our own nature.
Yeah.
We're so far in the cities and in technology that we don't breathe enough, we don't walk enough, we don't swim enough, we don't eat real food.
Yeah.
So I invite everyone to go deeper into this exploration of what nature is. For me, great shamans like David Attenborough, who has offered so many beautiful documentaries about the animals
Mhm.
in the world, and great shamans as Carl Jung, the great therapist who actually opened the gate to spirituality for Europe and the States. And even the great shaman Steve Jobs, who created iPhones and the
Yeah.
iMacs, is like anyone that can venture to create something that before did not exist, or that brings us closer to each other and to God.
Yeah.
I think that's a shaman.
I could talk to you for days. I think you're amazing. I love your whole journey. You've taught me a couple of things in this call just within the hour or so that we've been talking. One of the things that I love that you kind of talked about is just like being able to kind of have those modern things, but also bring the ancient things into your life. And it's not just one or the other. I think it just made me, I don't know why that sticks with me and why I never thought of that, but
Good.
it's just like, and I will put in the description of this video or podcast a link to your website. I've gone through it. I think it's fantastic. It's jaguarpath.com. Everyone should go there and take a look at it. I mean, you have so much great content on there where you're talking about, your 9-month shamanism online course, your yoga, tai chi. It's amazing. And if anyone enjoyed this conversation, please go to the website and take a look at it. And I think you're a fantastic person, and just I feel like I'm a good judge of character and I can feel people's energy in some way, and your energy is just amazing. So I really am so happy that you came on my show and appreciate it so much.
Zach, thank you so much. You're a great person too. I really appreciated this. I really enjoyed it.
So everybody, thanks for listening. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast, please do. And go to Ray's website. Again, it's jaguarpath.com. Go to the description of the website or the description of the podcast, and it will be there for you. Thanks so much for being on, Ray.
Thank you, Zach. It was an honor. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.